And my purpose from that day on out, it's just to leave every little thing just a little bit better than it was than the moment I was there with it. So literally, if they would have gotten their way and charged me, convicted me, I would have been in for 25 plus years, basically, in a military prison, you know?
Peace and love. Yes, peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Fate.org podcast. That's right, this is episode number 5. Today we have a very, very special guest with an incredible story, coming to you straight from Fate.org, P-H-A-E-T, the People's Honorable Alliance for Exposing the Truth. And thank you very much for being here with us again today. Really got to shout out and appreciate all the listeners that are coming through. This is a good friend of mine who's coming on today. He's a military gentleman. And basically we're going to go through his story with the military and how he ultimately suffered at the hands of his owners. Yes, I did say owners. He's going to share his harrowing experience with us today publicly in hopes of inspiring others to come forward with their story. I am your host, The Wordsmith, back once again, humbled and honored to be speaking to you and bringing you this amazing story. So sit back, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, outside lounging in the backyard, on a boat, driving to or from work, chilling on a mountainside, kicking back a nice rolled up J of some super primo herb. And here we go. Let's get this started. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, peace and love. We are here for another podcast episode of the Fate.org podcast. Title is It Was Fate. It's the name of the podcast. It was fate, and yes, it was fate that we are here today with a very good buddy of mine to discuss a very important yet under-discussed topic. Fate.org, of course, fate standing for the People's Honorable Alliance for Exposing the Truth. And we are here today with Mike Barbot, who has a really insightful message for us today. And so I'm just going to go ahead and introduce him. Mike, how you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Well, I'll give a little background of how I know Mike. So we actually met through mutual friend, my oldest and best friend who had moved to North Carolina years ago. I would go down in the summers and visit, and Mike is a neighbor, or was a neighbor at that time for many years. So whenever I'd go down, we'd all hang out. And it was always good times, and that went on through college and then years later. But there was a period of time that we kind of did disconnect, and Mike entered the military, and he had some experiences that ensued from there that have greatly affected his life. And that's kind of where we're going to focus today. And I guess what we'll do, Mike, we'll start out. Well, actually, right before we start, man, do you remember? What do you remember from back in the day? Do you remember anything? I remember we used to play around on the tennis courts over there, and just kind of be walking through the neighborhood over there in Greensboro and,
Yeah, man. Honestly, I don't know. A lot of my memory got knocked out of my head, so I don't.
Wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that could not have been a more real response right there, and it's a great segue into today's conversation. Okay, so I guess let's start with how and when exactly did you wind up, going to, or thinking about going to military, and then ultimately making that decision. How and when did that happen?
2004. Yeah, so the war was already started, and I mean, it's not like that patriotic or anything else. But I mean, honestly, I joined for the college money, man. I joined. I wasn't doing much else. I was just working as servers, bouncing around jobs. So I joined the military.
Okay, and I guess tell me a little bit about the recruiting part of it. How did it? How did you? Was there a recruitment center near you? What kind of neighborhood was it in? And what was the recruiting officer like?
So it was in Greensboro. Yeah, I think I just went down there. I don't really even remember that. I remember signing up. So I thought as a combat engineer, the recruiter told me I'd be doing. I thought I was going to be doing like smart like engineering kind of stuff. Like, I don't even know what I thought back then, man. I have a zero idea what I actually thought I would be doing. Some kind of engineering, but that didn't even really answer the question. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've just always, I don't know.
All right. Well, so and did they? I guess they made it pretty easy. Like the process was really easy in terms of getting registered.
I mean, yeah. You got to take like it's called ASVAB test. So I scored real high on that. I could have, because of how smart I was, I could have gotten any job in the military, like intelligence, any of that number of other stuff. But I didn't have. I got arrested when I was a teenager, so that held me back from that.
Man. Yeah. Those old things like that, they really are killers to people's different careers and opportunities. And
yeah, man.
Probably was something that shouldn't even it shouldn't even be a thought anymore.
Yeah. So that kind of held me up and limited my options. So basically, I think I had to choose between infantry, combat engineer, and a scout. And honestly, I was kind of trying to pick the job I was least likely to die at.
Right.
I mean,
that's a good one to aim for.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now, do you remember what were some of the promises, that were made to you during this process of getting involved with the military?
I mean, those recruiters, I mean, they are what they are. They kind of blow smoke up everybody's ass. I mean, that's their job. I mean, you think it's not their job. They're supposed to be straightforward, but they basically do. They kind of do blow smoke up your ass. There are good ones out there. Most of them, there's a disconnect between the actual people and people. That's what I think nowadays. There's a disconnect between people and people. So these recruiters, they're basically guys in the military that did a tour or something else, and they just want a lax job somewhere doing nothing, basically. Right. They're E4, E5 rank, and they basically just want to chill out, and that's what the recruiter kind of thing is. I think most of them get it when they like re-enlist. You can re-enlist and then get recruiter or something like that. But so it kind of takes away from I don't know what I'm trying to say. It takes away from really being involved in making sure that
that people are properly
taken care of.
taken
I
care
guess.
of.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So I mean, so what were some of the promises that the military made, in terms of, out the back end, or money, or school, or housing, or, what are some of the things that were promised?
Well, man, it's just like anything else in life, honestly. It's like, unless you have it in writing, it ain't shit.
That's right. Facts.
Yeah. So basically, I was told I'd get this school and blah blah blah, and I could do whatever. Basically, I could do whatever I wanted. That's this fantasy kind of I was portrayed in my head, and and then I get there, and then I find out, I see my MOS. I didn't even know that my MOS was a combat arms a job. Honestly, when I signed up.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know it was combat arms job. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what you were trying to avoid.
Yeah, I was completely uneducated. I had zero idea what was actually kind of happening and whatever else. The sad thing about it is most people that join the military nowadays, they're either sent there from a judge, they got in trouble and they're sent to the they pick military over going to jail.
Right.
Or it's guys like me, wasn't doing much with themselves. So, they're out of options.
Right.
So yeah.
And I've one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that the majority, if not all, of military recruitment centers are usually, not
low-income neighborhoods.
Yeah, they're all in low-income neighborhoods where you're going to find a high. A high rate of people in those situations that feel like there's no other option and they're not good at anything else, so it's right there, and Yeah,
it's a quick out, and it's kind of sad because on one hand, it's like you are giving people, like, some people can use it to their bit. They're like, okay, so it's just like anything, man. Like there's success stories and there's failure stories, And it's like, and there's ratios to everything. How many are going to succeed? How many good stories come out of it? How many bad stories come out of it? It's just like anything. But they really do prey on the weak, the uneducated.
Right. That's exactly what I was getting at, and that is a shame, man. Because these are young people, who probably. Really could do just about anything if they had the proper guidance and proper environment, and instead they're pretty much being picked out to essentially be pawns and thrown on the front lines and be more bodies for the consumption of or an advancement of whatever resource or power war grab that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically money and power, dude. After all of it, I think it just comes down to money and power. That's governments, basically, money and power, bro.
Right. Yep. It really, and if anyone really just takes the time to look at every war that's happened, there's really nothing else behind it other than resources, drugs, political power or control,
greed,
and land, which all fall under the greater banner of greed, right? And that's really sad. How many people are just kind of whisked away by that wave. And
I know. Well, they're sold. It's almost like they're sold a fantasy. You're sold this patriotic fantasy, kind of, and I kind of got into it myself a little bit. I started believing what we stood for, at least,
right?
And you just find out. It's all just like a what's the word? Mirage. It's all just a mirage, basically.
Right. That whole Americana, and we're out there saving countries and freeing people, and
Yeah, it's like there's different sides of it, man. There's different sides. It's like dealing with. You remember that He-Man toy we had back in the 80s?
Oh yeah,
where you could,
of course.
Switch the guy's face.
Yeah.
It's like dealing with that. That's what our government is, basically. It's like which who are you talking to right now? You know what I mean?
That's right, exactly. Shape-shifting tongues. Yep.
Exactly, and basically it depends on whatever their agenda is. You know what I mean? What do they want out of it, and then they play both sides to get what they want, basically.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, so now I guess let's get into where were you deployed, and what were you deployed to do? What was your duty, or missions, or what ultimately happened in that department?
So we got deployed 2006 we got deployed. So the orders came down. I knew I was going to go. Honestly, I was scared. I freaked out about it in AIT because I went from basic straight to AIT, and then I was going straight to Germany after that. And I freaked out and I broke into the thing, stole my cell phone, so I could call my mom. Sounds stupid, but
I would have freaked out too. I would have. Yeah,
that's the truth, though, man. That's what I did.
Right.
So, called my mom because I knew from Germany. I mean, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. Over to the Middle East. So, I mean, yeah, so it was inevitable. I mean, I knew I was going to be going at some point, so we went, got deployed, and honestly, with all the training and all that stuff, I mean, I was kind of pumped about it at first, man. That sounds fucked up, but I kind of was.
I'm sure everyone was, right, after with that training and stuff. Everyone's pumped up, right?
Yeah, I mean,
is that kind of what?
And even the ones that went before, like you're called a cherry, until you get deployed, and obviously you get your cherry popped over there, and then
right.
But that's kind of what it is. So even guys that have been there before, you kind of get pumped up if you still believe in the mirage,
Right.
I kind of stalled through it. Not immediately, but
you started kind of getting hints. You started seeing little things that didn't sit right with you.
Yeah, I've been basically within 6 months. If you get a whole, I got a feel for the place, I got comfortable. I mean, I knew what was going on.
You had a circle of people that you knew that you were talking to, so you can kind of hear more of the undercurrent.
Yeah, so it was just man, it was honestly, dude. I wrote my goodbye letters when we were in Kuwait. When we got our debriefing, I guess, I was deployed to Ramadi, Iraq, and it was number one most dangerous spot in the world for 6 years straight.
Oh my god.
Most casualties came out of there. Oof. It was just a fucked up place. So our briefing, I don't want to say it scared me, but it's the fucked up thing about going to war. I don't know how other people deal with it, but how I did is I basically prepared myself for death. Basically, I had to accept it as being
kind of inevitable.
Inevitable, yeah, basically as being a reality.
Wow.
It's a bit of a mind fuck.
I couldn't imagine having to, come to terms with an idea like that in real time. This is it. I'm going, and this is probably going to happen, and I'm essentially on my way to meet my maker. No, man. Yeah.
It's basically the whole thing was kind of just surreal till all of a sudden you're there, and then it's oh fuck, I'm here. I'm getting shot at. Oh what God. The fuck?
Holy shit. So you get debriefed, you find out where you're going, and this is in Germany now, when you're already in Germany?
So we actually didn't know. So everything was under wraps. It was pretty secretive.
Last minute type shit.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So especially about our movements and other stuff like that, just for how the Army operates.
Right.
So but everything's everything's basically under wraps. Couldn't tell people where we were at. Blah, blah, blah. Couldn't tell them about our missions. Couldn't tell them what was going on. So we finally got set up, though, at FOB Ramadi.
So how did you get there? Was it just a regular military plane?
Yeah, so we did the, I forget what they're called. What are those planes?
You didn't airdrop, did you?
No, I wasn't airborne.
Okay.
Yeah, so we went there, and then we went on like the Chinooks or whatever, the helicopters.
Okay.
And so we went on those, and so we arrived. My company arrived basically, and then we had like a right seat, left seat ride, and that was the first little hello, welcome to the shit show kind of thing.
Right.
We went out, and the guys that were showing us, literally our first mission, man, 3 of them died. Our first mission out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was nuts, man.
Shit.
We went out. We got called for an IED. We were doing EOD escort, and we went out. And
now, just right before you continue there, some people may not know some of the acronyms that you're busting out. So maybe the first time when you bring up an acronym, just throw out what it is for some of our listeners who may not know.
EODs, the explosive experts, basically, explosive ordinance device.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
an IUD.
Yeah, IED is improvised explosive device.
Okay.
It's just another fancy name for a bomb, I guess.
Right. Okay. So these are all explosives. Okay. Continue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out, man, and it was a little bit of a shock to the guys that were there before, because of the techniques they used. They were getting more advanced on hiding them and outsmarting us, actually setting us up to attack us. So basically the car, we pulled up, and you basically set, what's it called? Not a circumference. You set up security, basically. So you set up
perimeter.
Yeah, set up perimeter. Yeah, set up a perimeter and set up security. And so you're supposed to park. It's like 550, whatever meters away. And each car is at a certain distance, or each Humvee, excuse me. And so they pulled up right over the secondary IED. And so when we were out, or the EOD got out to get the main IED, they blew the second one, which then blew the gunner in half. And then the other 2 guys, like, it fucked them up from the blast, but then they basically just burned alive.
Oh my god.
In it. And that was my, that
was your essentially your welcoming ceremony.
Yeah, welcome to Ramadi. Yeah.
Oh my god. I would have ran for the hills.
Once you're there, you're there.
Right. There's nowhere to go. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. So what happened to you now at that point? With that being like essentially day 1 or mission 1.
Yeah, well, that happened. So once that happened, we sent guys up to try to get them out of the vehicle. And then we set up more security, which they started firing at us and stuff like that. But after everything calmed down, literally, like, my adrenaline and then your nerves and just being scared. Basically, my hand was, I couldn't stop shaking. My hand's shaking so bad, it was literally hitting off my weapon, which was creating noise, which made me more nervous.
Oh, wow.
So, it was just, a little quick reality check, I guess,
And so, what kind of thoughts were going through your mind?
I don't know. I guess I kind of couldn't like saying surreal is kind of probably the best thing.
Right. Okay.
Because it's just like.
Yeah, you can't even process what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first couple times, it's like you're doing it, but you don't even. It just didn't feel real.
Right.
Honestly, man, it just didn't feel real.
Right.
It felt like I was just shooting the shit out there, shooting like playing paintball or something with friends, kind of, in a way. Like it was. I don't know, dude. Yeah, like I was, yeah.
Wow. So okay, so what happened from there now? What are the next steps?
So we got back when we first got there. We were staying in a tent, and which was kind of scary on its own. So they when they created this fob, they basically took over some concrete apartments, concrete apartment buildings. There's like 1, 2, 3 buildings maybe, or 2 buildings, 2 buildings. It's maybe 2 or 3 buildings.
Okay.
And so we were new, so we were in the tents, but then we used to get, like mortared, but they would use, Chinese rockets. They would fly lower so they wouldn't set off the sirens.
Right.
You know? So and then hit the building right behind our tent when we were there. So that was kind of scary. So I was worried about like getting mortared and hitting our tent because obviously there's no protection. If it hits you, you're dead.
And that could essentially happen at any second.
Yeah, at any time. Yeah, basically. So we had to walk around with our armor on because that was part of in the briefing. This guy got sniped from the glass factory. Got sniped and killed on the fob when he was going to the bathroom. So that's why we had to wear our armor. We had to wear our helmet.
Jeez. Did that happen while you were there or right before? Or?
That was before, so that was in our briefing.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you had to stay armored up at all times, and essentially you're being placed into a state of constant paranoia until you just break or something.
Yeah. For me, it got more like instead of paranoia, it just got more adrenaline. I honestly, man, I used to like it.
Wow. So there was kind of a high.
Yeah, kind of.
That adrenaline.
That sounds fucked up.
High. No.
That sounds fucked up, but it is what it is. You know?
Right. No. Hey, we gotta. This is how we unravel. The real meat of what's going on here. Okay. So let's continue. Continue along the timeline. So how long were you there for? Let's start with that.
I think all in all, grand total of like 18 months maybe.
18 months. And are there any other particular incidents that stick out, or were there too many, or do you don't want to think about them?
Basically, there's too many, man.
Oh my God! See, that's the answer. That it's just the person asking, you just dread to hear that type of an answer. So
it was an everyday thing, bro. Like we had this period of 8 months, and we were on route clearance, and literally every day we went out, one of our vehicles got blown up, man. So that was just the reality of it.
Oh my God! So then they had to be on a kind of continuous bringing in more people.
Those up-armored vehicles are strong, bro. So I got blown up a couple times. So like when you get blown up, man, like if you luck out and it's not like a catastrophic, situation.
Right.
It just basically it feels like you just got rocked.
Like a little earthquake just hit right under you.
Basically, like on a cellular, molecular kind of level, like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
The next couple days, your head's just fucking like, it's just,
like
it's
a shock
dropping, dude.
Like a shock
It's literally, yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. So.
So that was that. We went out and during that period, first times, depending on which vehicle got hit. There's one time 4 of our vehicles got hit in one night. We went out with 5 vehicles, 4 vehicles got hit, and we all rode back in one vehicle to get back to the fob.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Crazy. Man. So it just was kind of relentless.
Yeah. Yeah, man. They were like, yeah, it's crazy, man. We got hit. We were about 200 meters away, but there's a chlorine bomb they set off. It was like when it blew up, it was like a yellow cloud with it. We had to put on our gas mask and all that stuff. They blew up in front of one of their schools one time. We had 200. We brought back 200 Iraqi civilians, kids, women, legs blown off, arms blown off.
Oh my god!
Lined them all up in front of Charlie Med.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm sure this is difficult for our listeners too. But this is what it is over there, and we really need to hear these stories. And so, I guess let's get to some of the real difficult questions. Had you experienced deaths right around you in your immediate, and let's start with that.
Not before Iraq, no. Honest, I really don't even think I killed an animal before Iraq. Some guys hunt and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't do anything before. Afterwards, it's kind of a different story. I use laughter, man. So laughter helps me cope. That's one of my main ways. I think a lot of the guys in my platoon actually coped was just laughter. We're all just
trying to keep the mood light in a dark, bleak situation.
Basically, yeah.
So, I mean, can you put a number on things, or?
No, I don't want to do that.
Well, let's say overall for the platoon or something like that. I mean, just so people kind of, is it? Well, I guess we don't have to if you don't want to touch upon that.
Yeah, let's not, man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it is what it is, man. The whole thing with it in general is just, to go over there. It became about the guys for me, more so the guys on my left and right. That's the only thing I believed in.
Right.
Not the war, not anything, just them and me.
Right. You guys were the ones there, and the only beings on Earth looking out for you.
Basically, yeah. There was some general, I forget his name. I wish my memory was better. But while I was over there, he got caught on somebody audio tape. Somebody taped him saying that he wished the soldiers would just die over there. Cheaper for the government for them to pay $400,000 to the families.
You're kidding me? They got that?
No, yeah, they got that on tape, man. It's really fucked up. And then you see, yeah, and then you see things. So like when we're over there, what was it? Halliburton, I believe, was the company that was Cheney set up for the whole thing. The government contracted them literally to do everything, and so they were charging the citizens like $100 per bag of laundry, like to do one bag of laundry. But yet
$100 for
$100. That's what basically taxpayers will pay
for Iraqi citizens.
For Iraqi citizens to wash our clothes, basically.
So this is a company that has direct ties to our government and politicians, and a company that concurrently gets contracts to do this kind of stuff, and just a little small instance of how they spend their money and how they essentially are paying themselves.
Yeah, so basically they put a crazy number on it, and then they have to they basically have to spend that much money. It's crazy. So like, in the whole thing is just like, so we fought all this stuff, and then at the end of our deployment, literally, so they started giving our captain American cash that he was then take out to these sheikhs, and we'd escort him out there, and he'd take the money to the sheikhs, and then all of a sudden the violence was stopping, which was stupid, you know. And this was just on the Iraq side, which is stupid because it's like literally like we caused this whole, like we made up this fight. We caused this whole thing. We made up this whole fight. We created our own enemy. We literally created our own enemy. We weren't fighting terrorists over there, man. Like, the people we fought were civilians. They were, you know, normal people. Like, we shut down their glass factory. We shut down their quarry. We shut down their ceramic factory. We shut down basically any means these people had to make money besides their little, like, kind of like market.
So essentially, the only reason they were fighting back is because their whole town was taken over. Because
then an actual real bad guy would come in and pay them, you know, $50, $100, $200, you know, hey, go place this bomb, you know, ambush these people, do whatever, and of course they would do it because that's enough money to feed their families for a year, you know. Like we cut off everything, and if you look at the numbers too, like it kind of is almost genocide in a way, because I mean, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians died, man. Hundreds of thousands.
Those are massive numbers. They're massive numbers.
And nobody's, like, there's the way the media spun it and everything else, like, nobody looks at it that way, which is absolutely insane to me, you know? They supposedly care so much about like 6,000 U.S. soldiers that died? 6,000 compared to hundreds of thousands. Yeah, that's insane. And don't get me wrong, like, the real terrorists were killing their own people, too. Like, you know, they would straight up just fuck up their own people. But, I mean, still, hundreds of thousands of them died. For us to go over there and supposedly take power away from a guy that we put in that position in the first place. Our government, you know?
Exactly right, right.
Like, we knew what weapons he had because the U.S. was the ones that sold him the fucking weapons, man. Like, get our heads out of our asses. We went over there with this weapons of mass destruction. Like, I was still under the assumption that when we went over there, we would possibly find some kind of weapons of mass destruction. And then it turns out to just literally all be bogus, you know?
Yep. But they succeeded in what they wanted to accomplish.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, during that time period until it came out, you know.
Yeah.
They already came, saw, and conquered.
Yeah, they directly lied to the U.S. citizens. They lied to the country. President Bush did. Congress did, like, all of them, like the senators, like it doesn't matter, man. And they knew what they were doing. They saw an opportunity, man, and they took it.
You know what I don't understand is why the American public, for reasons like that and many others, why are they not up in arms? Why are they not pissed? Why are they not talking about these things?
Man,
why?
So that's when you get into the other side of it. It's they're still being lied to.
That's right.
And they're still being lied to, and they're still being pinned or what is it? Pitted up against each other.
Right, pitted. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And confused. It's like, you know, it's that whole, what's the old saying about you muddy the waters, you know? Nobody knows what's going on. You can't see what's going on.
See what's going on, right?
And they do that on purpose, you know. That's why when we get back, they were not expecting to have this many guys come back injured from this war. They weren't expected. They did not when they did this whole thing, it was kind of like I said, they saw an opportunity and they took it, and they didn't think about the other end of it. Guys getting, obviously they don't care. At the end of the day, our government doesn't really care about our soldiers. They don't. It's just it's numbers, it's bodies, it's whatever. They don't, and that's the honest God truth on that.
And that to me is among a few other things that have been said in the last little while that we've been on the call. I think that statement right there is one of the most important, that I really want our listeners to take that statement in and really try to understand that. And this is coming from our guest today who went through the process, joined, was deployed, came out, and he went through the entire process, and he's telling you, he's saying, and I've been saying this for years too, because if you just look at the facts, if you just look at what's happening, it's very easy to understand that 100% our children, our brothers, sisters, and parents that are being sent over to physically fight these wars are literally and precisely pawns in a much bigger game that has nothing to do with anything you're being told, and has nothing to do with any of us. And I think we should really take that into consideration and protect the lives of our loved ones, and make sure that they're not being reeled in for a bogus war effort.
Oh yeah, I mean, if everybody and honestly the whole world would just start caring about each other and the planet, like that, things, all of it could, things, there could be harmony. There's just unfortunately that's not.
It's not like what the system calls for.
Yeah, and honestly, they're into fucking their personality. I look at it as almost like a person. That's how I look at a government. It has its own personality. It does its own things,
right. And has its own agenda.
Yeah, and it's just, it would never turn around now. It's in too deep. Way too deep.
Well, I mean, unless enough people.
Well, I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be eventually it's going to come to a peak, and I think eventually there'll be a revolution when people finally just get pissed and get tired of being shat on and shat on and shat on and shat on.
And used.
Yeah, precisely,
That's right.
I mean, people are living, dying, working their asses off so other people basically can live lavish lives. I mean, it doesn't have to be that divided. I mean, it can be spread. Everyone
can be happy and comfortable. That's always been the case. But that mode does not bear the same amount of bountiful fruit for those who are really running things as does the current mode of operation. But yeah, and the revolution, it doesn't necessarily have to be a violent one. I mean, essentially what we're looking for is a consciousness revolution.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, man, but honestly, I think I unfortunately think it will be, if you already look at it, also, again, what they're doing with the excess amount, because like I said, the government had budgets of money that they basically didn't have to spend, but to them, they had to spend it, So they had excess up armor vehicles and all this stuff, and they've started militarizing the police forces in the United States already.
That's right.
And you can see it in the amount of violence that's the police brutalities and killings have increased all across the country. Like, police literally are emptying full clips into people when the situation does not call for that kind of excess, or doesn't call for that kind of violence to begin at all, actually. And even in the military, we're trained to Tupacs. You're trained one in the head, one in the chest. Why is the cop, like, literally, if you're scared for your life, put a bullet in his head, put one in his chest. If you really are scared for your life and you want to kill him because he's a threat to you, put one in his head, put one in his chest. Why are they emptying full clips on people, you know? So it's already surpassed even that limit. But the way they're doing it and the way they manipulate news and the media and all that stuff, it's like people aren't going to know that it's happening until it's actually right in front of their fucking faces.
Well, you know, there's absolutely plenty of truth to what you're saying. That militarization of our police has began, I'd say, in the last 5 to 10 years. It's definitely a part of the post 9/11 reconfiguration of things, you know, and part of a long drawn out, longer plan, if you will. And no, absolutely. I mean, we can see there are police are killing citizens on the daily, you know, unarmed people, and situations where deadly force is in no way, shape, or form warranted. And, you know, the political climate is extremely hot right now and causing a lot of conflict. And then the immigration issues. I mean, there are more than enough, you know, things that are making the water boil. And it would seem, and I've kind of gone back and forth myself over the last 10 years between, or 15 years, between whether the revolution was going to be a peaceful one, was going to have to, you know, or we literally have to take up arms. And I've gone back and forth. And believe me, I'm happy the Second Amendment is still in effect. And, you know, it's part of its purpose, for those who have not read it properly, part of its purpose was to protect the people from a tyrannical government. And, you know, this is the case. So, I mean, at least having that right there is good. But I still have to hope that, as difficult as it may seem, that maybe there is a way for this to go down without necessarily, you know, and without having to take a violent turn. And that, you know, I think that it'll speak volumes basically to the thinkers, you know, to who are the thinkers of our time and our generation right now who are, you know, trying to reshape and redirect.
I really hope that that's possible. Honestly, man, with everything that I've been through and my experience with our government and
no, I definitely look
even beyond it, man. It's just it's like how do you calm a rabid dog down? You know, you can't.
Right. This is,
you know, you have to kill him.
Right. Well, I guess, you know, we'll see what unfolds and what methods ultimately wind up being the ones used, because it is inevitable that things have to change. So I think we are going to see it happen in our lifetime, which makes it very exciting times because we get to be a part of that. You know, a part of the conversation and a part of the actions that will bring about a better place for future generations, for our kids. So for a moment now, let's come back to your story. So now, coming towards the end of your 18 months, you know, where were you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically? You know, where were you at that time, and what was your condition?
I was pretty good, man. I was a little shell-shocked. I went home on R&R. I got to see my parents, you know, got to hang out with my little brother. Which was cool. That was the first time I kind of connected with Alex like that. my little brother. He was actually in college, so it was the first time, like, really kind of like drinking, hanging out with him. So it was really cool, man. And so I went back nice and refreshed. And I think it was like a month after I got back to Ramadi was the last time I got blown up, which I was more severely injured on that one. But yeah, I got medevaced out. We were out. I forget what the brief was for that mission. So it was a big mission. So we pulled different task force together. So we were 5 Ramadi. Across the rivers was a special forces unit, and then there was another infantry unit on, I want to say, the other side of Ramadi. I don't know, man, but it was something like that. But anyway, so it was a big mission. We were all going out, and then I, on the way out there, I got blown up. And that was just kind of a shit show. I mean, I don't really remember anything. I got. Oh yeah. So I got medevaced. Me and my buddy. He was from 116, I think the number is. 116, yeah. But so he lost both his legs. I remember I was awake in the helicopter when they put him in, and then after that it was kind of a blur for the next long part of it. It's from the blast. I suffered a brain injury, so my thinking at the time is really blotchy, I guess.
Right. Did they give a name to the injury, or what was the diagnosis?
It's traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
TBI, I guess. That's what everybody calls it now.
And what did they tell you the prognosis was?
What does that mean?
Did they say that it could, did they say it would heal in a certain amount of time, that it wouldn't?
So when I first got blown up, man, honestly, I don't remember what all was said. I remember having trouble walking for about a week. I think it was a week. And I was just in and out of it in my bed. And then something happened, so the DOD called my parents, and my mom picked up. She got the phone call, and they told her I got injured. They didn't tell her how severely, or they didn't tell her anything.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's exactly what she wanted to hear.
Yeah, and but then the Army lost me after that. So that's when I say my story is a very it's like the negative side of it. Like, honestly, when I tell my whole story, even the people at the VA, the Veterans Affairs, they thought I was making it up, or they thought that because of my brain injury, maybe I thought that certain things happened that didn't happen. And then I had to literally, like, my parents started coming with me to help me communicate to everyone what happened.
Wow.
But so the Army actually left. I mean, it lost me. The Army actually lost me, and I don't know what happened. I remember, like, just walking around places. And I remember not knowing where I was, and somehow, like 2 weeks later, I think it was, I found my way back to Ramadi. So I guess I hopped on a helicopter and rode back to Ramadi.
Oh my gosh. So you wound up back where you started there, and you got yourself there, but you're not sure how.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when I got back, our head medic there, like, freaked out. He couldn't figure out why I was back, and I was having trouble communicating and stuff like that. So
where were you supposed to be? Like still in the hospital, or like going home?
No, they should have medevaced me to Germany.
Okay. So you're supposed to be in Germany. Okay.
Yeah. So then I wasn't allowed to do on the fob. I wasn't allowed to do anything. I think for a couple months, man. I think literally, I would the headaches, man. I can't even describe the pain. I remember having like the migraines and the shit I would have in my head, and it would be like I call them shock waves, because I'd be like walking and I literally I could feel from the back of my head to the one front right part, I think. Mm-hmm. And my body would almost like shut down. So I'd be like walking and it felt like my body would shut down, and then I would catch myself in the middle of falling down. And so it was just a really weird time. I was really in and out of it.
Wow, yeah, that's got to be pretty scary, man. That you get that feeling coming on, and then you know that in a moment you're going to be falling.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of crazy. I mean, my buddy said like I would pass out, and then they said like I would pass out for like days at a time, and they said I would just lose all the color in my body, and then other stuff. So it was kind of weird. But I kind of just, went on. I mean, with the Army mentality, you're, always told drive on, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm a stubborn ass motherfucker anyway.
Right. That I know. That I remember.
That's probably why I'm still alive. But
right.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, man. So I just kind of went on, and so like, and it was kind of strange. And then when we were in Germany, so then I was back in Germany, and then my whole company's back in Germany with me. So then we're all back in Germany, and then the people there, they immediately put me on Valiums for my PTSD.
Who diagnosed you with that? Were they in Germany or where?
Oh, as soon as I got back, man, we had to go. So when you get back from deployment, they put you through. You have to get like tuberculosis test and all kinds of like tests, and they send you through like you have to get like a what's it called, a mental health test, and there's all kinds of tests, man.
So
they
it's
just
like a
do
whole
tests.
Clearance thing, like.
Yeah, you have to like get cleared and all this shit. And basically, I didn't get cleared, so they gave me Valiums, and then
And how is that supposed to help? Doesn't Valium pretty much just knock you out?
Yeah, that's all it really did for me. It just kind of turned me into a zombie.
Yeah, why in the world would they? That's what they gave you that and sent you on your way?
Basically, yeah. And then they told me when I got to, then I was supposed to go to Fort Bragg, and they're like, when you get there, go to the TBI clinic. I was like, okay. So that's what I did, man. So I went when I got to Fort Bragg, I was already having what's the word? Cognitive troubles.
Right.
But I was smart enough. Like, I had concussions and stuff growing up and other stuff. I think strangely enough, I think that's actually what helped me, because I think at a young age, so I got knocked out one time in hockey, and I actually lost.
You lost what?
Oh yeah, I lost my sight for like 15 minutes or half hour or something like that. And but I think my body learned how to get past things, because growing up I was still always wicked smart. I didn't have to. I was the kid that I didn't have to study. I didn't really have to read. I didn't have to do anything. Like I just did it. I got A's. I don't know.
If there's one in every school. I knew one kid like that in my school. Yep.
Yeah. So I just I just did things. So when I got back, I was having trouble. And a lot of guys were like self-medicating and stuff too. And I mean, I was getting fucked up at the time, which I definitely don't think helped anything.
Right. Drinking? You talking about drinking?
Oh man, drinking, drugs.
Right, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And is that pretty common? You know,
it's actually really common, man.
It is, right? For people coming back, yeah.
It is, sure. Man.
Ain't even over there, probably.
Yeah, and I don't know so much about over there, but coming home from it is really common. A lot of guys turn to drinking. Some guys have like extreme just anger. Some guys had that. Each person I saw had different things, you know, or I guess they dealt with them differently, you know.
Right.
So that's how I dealt with mine. But again, like mine just kind of were more severe, I guess. And I kind of hid behind being a fuck up, man, honestly, because I never had to try anything throughout my life. So in the Army, like I didn't have to try, and I just kind of it's like, you know, like when it's like a genius or something, or like you get bored with it, so it's just like you don't try. Like a lot of geniuses in school flunk out of school, but they're actually they already know that shit, and they're like wicked fucking smarter than their teachers, you know.
Right.
But they flunked out of school. It's kind of sort of like that. So I didn't try at anything. So I was in my personality, like I'm goofy and whatever. Anyways, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of hid behind that, man. And yeah, I hid behind that for a long time. And then I started dating this girl, Vina, at Fort Bragg. Which then when I dated her, I hid behind that because then she handled the money. She did the chores, like the cleaning chores. She used to make fun of me, and they used to put it on my, what they used to put it on? What's it called? ADD. Because she'd tell me to go clean the bathroom, and it'd take me literally like 6 to 8 hours to clean one bathroom. But I was having cognitive troubles, you know what I mean?
Right. So
yeah, and I just didn't tell anybody, man. I mean, fuck. You know, like
wow.
It's.
Wow. So you waited, and how long did you wait?
Basically, I didn't get help until I went to the VA. I did finally, because something happened at Fort Bragg where I did one of those things and I passed out again and I hit my head again on a corner of something.
Oh my god.
And I was bleeding everywhere.
You cracked your skull, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like bleeding everywhere. You know, head wounds, they just bleed more than they should, actually, you know?
Right.
So, like, I go to, whatever it's called. It's not Charlie Med on Fort Bragg. It's, whatever, sick call or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. Whatever it is. I went there. And then finally I remembered, or no, one of the guys there told me that he went to the TVI place. And I was like, oh shit, that's right, I was supposed to go. So I tried to find my paper again that told me I was supposed to go. So anyways, I showed up and they basically turned me away.
They turned you away?
Yeah. Because I didn't have any kind of referral, I didn't have anything else, and I couldn't explain things good enough where I could get help. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I felt.
Now I'm not surprised by, you know, most of the things that you're saying today, because we have a lot of discussions from time to time, and we go pretty deep, and so we know what time it is. But just again for our listeners, this is an organization that's supposed to be there to help you, and your first experience is no help.
Yeah, exactly. No help, and then on top of it, it even got crazier, man. So even on top of that, so like when we got back, like I said, a lot of guys were like, getting fucked up and other stuff like this. Some kid in Germany, that I never even met this kid, but he was like in like 3 circles of friends away from my friends, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So like one of my friends were friends with his friends, which was friends with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of situation. So I guess he like they were all fucked up in the barracks or something, and then he was being too loud, and this fat girl put a pillow over his head and sat on it to keep him quiet, and then he suffocated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so being that it happened on an army base, and what town was that? That was Wurzburg, and I was stationed in Schweinfurt, so that was like 45 minutes away from Schweinfurt.
Right.
So anyway, so kid died, and somebody has to be responsible. That's how our government works. If something happens and it's in the news,
there has to be
there has to be a fall guy.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there has to be a fall guy.
Okay.
And a couple of people went to jail and said something about this and blah blah blah, and then it came back to me where they tried to accuse me of selling this kid drugs that killed him. That's what the Army tried to accuse me of. Literally.
What?
Not kidding you. So when I was in Fort Bragg, not only did I get turned away from getting treatment, but then I got called into the CID office there, and they told me that they were going to, they didn't charge me. I got told that they were going to charge me with the second-degree murder of this kid. And then they were going to charge, not kidding you, and then they were going to charge me with possession of drugs. Listen to this now. Possession of drugs, which I was never arrested. Okay, keep that in mind. Then they were going to charge me with smuggling because they said I went from country to country with it. Huh. Then they were going to charge me with distribution.
And zero proof of any of this.
Zero proof of anything. Keep in mind, I was never arrested at all.
And they were going to charge you with all of these things because why? Because you happen to be lucky enough to be on a
friends
list
of friends, man. Yep, friends of friends.
But maybe you were targeted because of the brain injury.
Maybe, because I'm telling you, like, so here's. In my experience, what I saw when I was going through this whole process,
right?
Because I actually went through a whole full-blown court-martial. I had to fight for my right to be... Shit. Yeah, I had to fight for my life, basically. Again, I got back from Iraq, and then I had to fight our government for my life again. With a brain injury, while not getting help. Yeah. So it's a very fucked up... Like I'm telling you, like, people... It's so... Dude, my story's so crazy, people don't believe it, but it's the fucking truth. I mean, I have paperwork. I can prove this shit. This is
unbelievable. So now they tell you they're gonna charge you, and you have to be just in complete shock again. Like, what are you?
Oh, dude, it was crazy, man.
Second degree, where you start hearing murder charge, like,
yeah,
oh my
man,
god, and you already are in a state of, unbalance.
Oh yeah, it was nuts, man. It was nuts. Yeah, so I started. Honestly, man, I started getting. I already wasn't getting help, so I was trying to make myself feel better, man. I got diagnosed with severe PTSD from the war, a brain injury, which when I learned about it causes, mood changes, personality changes. There's frustration with like the cognitive things when I can't figure out something.
Right.
Things that I didn't have trouble with before that I all of a sudden did. Lack of energy, like all kinds of shit, man.
Way too much to have to even deal with.
Oh yeah, it was insane, dude. It was fucking insane.
Oh my God.
So I fuck it, dude. I got fucked up, man.
Wow. And so how was your lawyer? I guess you had a good lawyer.
Yeah, so I got this lawyer, and I forget the guy's name right now. I if you really need the guy's name, I can go find the paperwork somewhere and get it.
Well, sometime. I guess what I'll say, and I'll just put this out there for anyone who may have or know of, a situation that could, that could be in whatever way similar that could require a solid lawyer, I will try to put the name in the description of this podcast. Somewhere in the description boxes. I'll try to put that information there. Okay. Continue.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think this guy, in the end of the day, this guy, I don't think he's the one that saved my ass. My kind of quote unquote public defender, military lawyer. She was actually very intelligent and knew about the kind of conniving, two-faced shit that.
So she knew the game already.
Yeah. So this battalion commander we had there. Basically, so guys come back from war fucked up, right? They drink, they do drugs, they whatever, right? They're having problems coping with they just experienced.
Exactly. Okay.
And instead of the military knowing that is a outcome of war and being understanding to that and giving these guys a chance to receive help.
Having a proper program, really.
Exactly. Instead of kicking them out of the military. But instead, what I found in my experience is that the government just says fuck them and kicks them out. Because at the end of the day, they don't care about people. And again, it's cheaper for them.
You're slowing them down and costing them money.
Exactly. You're just another body. They can get another body,
Right.
And at this point, you're damaged goods.
Right.
You're already fucked up.
Yeah.
You have mental problems now. You have maybe physical problems now.
They wouldn't be able to validate why they sent you back.
Exactly. They can just get a fresh body.
Right.
So, and again, it's cheaper for them. So if you kick them out, if you make them look like a shitbag and kick them out, the government, it makes it so they don't have to, they don't have to pay them anything. Right, they don't have to give them any VA medical care.
Forever.
For their whole lives. They don't have to do anything.
Oh my God. So it's a play on the benefits that you're supposed to get. Unbelievable.
It is. It's like an insurance game. That's what my dad used to call it.
Right.
My parents are the one that helped me through all getting the med board and all that stuff, and literally it's like you're having to deal with an insurance company. They always deny, and then you literally have to fight for everything.
Wow, what a tremendous situation. This is great. Obviously it's not great that it happened and you have to go through it, but it's great that we're getting this whole story out to the public purview so people can really grasp, how deep the treachery really goes within the system. So okay, please continue.
So where was I? But anyway, this kid that died, and I forget the guy's name, but I wasn't even I was already in the United States. This kid was in Germany. For them to say anything at all, literally. So they said they were going to charge me, basically, with this stuff. So literally, if they would have gotten their way and charged me, convicted me, I would have been in for 25 plus years, basically, in a military prison,
Oh my God.
And they kept dicking me around. So basically for the next year, every day I would have to come into a company of people that used to be my friends, but my first sergeant and my captain, people that I thought were on my side and still on my side, they were being two-faced to me and going behind my back, talking shit. Basically, they went around creating this thing of he did it, he's a shitbag, he's this, he's whatever. And so every day I came into the company, basically I'd get shit talked to me. And I'd just walk through and keep my head held high and walk through the company and basically say, fuck them, And I'd
Did you ever ask anyone directly, like, yo, like what's up? What the fuck are you doing? Like, what's going on? Why are you guys, did you ever put anyone on the spot?
I mean, especially with rank, if they outrank you, you can't.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And if you do, you leave yourself open to more problems.
More issues. So you got to just kind of You're trapped.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that happened. And like I said, I met this girl, Vina, and she used to come and she used to come with me because I had trouble. She used to try to ask me when all this was going on what my company, like what my first sergeant was saying to me and what my captain was saying to me. And with my brain injury that I didn't know I had, it was hard for me to keep all that stuff together or even remember it.
Right.
So when I got home, she'd ask me and I couldn't remember. So she started coming on post with me every day and sitting out in the car. And so when they tell me something or something happened, I'd come out, I'd run out and I'd tell her.
Right.
And that went on for about a year. My parents took that as almost a form of torture because basically, like, if you can imagine my nerves, I already had PTSD I wasn't getting help for, brain injury, and then the anxiety on top of it of, being possibly being charged with shit that I didn't do.
Right.
Is insane anxiety.
I can't even imagine. Right. I can't even imagine.
And it's like every day I came in and they told me I had to sit there and they're like, you have to sit here and wait to be charged. And that's literally what I did every day.
For how long?
I'd say almost a year.
Shut up, dude, shut up. You're telling me they had you come in and sit somewhere every day for a year to wait to be charged for some insane shit that you didn't do?
Yeah.
A year. This is torture. Dead ass, that is torture.
So that happened. And then I had an outside lawyer and other stuff like that. So basically nothing came to. There was never any evidence of me being involved in any of that shit overseas at all. Like literally to this day, there's zero evidence at all. But because this commander had to stick up his ass about me, basically they wanted to fuck me. He wanted to fuck me. And they actually went out of their way at this point to fuck me. So when it came time for my exit date of the Army to get honorably discharged, I went ahead and because nothing else was said, and I went to my lawyer and I was like, look, and she was like, hey, look, you have orders that are telling you that you are exiting the Army. Those are your orders. Take your orders and go do them. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's what I did. I followed the lawyer's advice, and that's what I did. And I got out of the Army, honorably discharged. And then that night, my first sergeant called me, and he told me that I was going to be charged with being AWOL, and that I had to come back. And that I had to come back immediately. And I told him I was out of the Army. I was like, and to get out of the Army, but keep this in mind that my first sergeant, my captain, the colonel even, they all had to sign my paperwork for me to get out of the Army.
And you had this paper in your hand.
I had this paperwork and with all of their signatures on it.
And they're still trying to charge you with shit.
And now they're trying to say that they're going to charge me with being AWOL. I'm like, how can I be AWOL if I'm out of the fucking Army? You know what I mean?
Not possible. Not possible.
But me trying to do the right thing, I went ahead and I came back in. And so, but instead of charging me with being AWOL, since I came back in, they tried to, they did actually, they charged me with illegal separation from the Army.
You had a legal document.
Yeah, I know.
You showed it to them.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
They didn't take it from you and rip it up or anything?
No.
Did they actually look at it?
Uh-huh, yeah. They knew they signed it.
And then they just kept going with clear and obvious knowledge.
Yeah. So basically, they were creating a situation. So I'll go ahead and say this now, and then I'll tell the rest of the story. But basically, they were creating and manipulating the situation. They wanted to make me look bad, and if they could get me guilty on some BS charge, and go ahead and convict me of some bullshit charge, and make me look like a shitbag,
then they would move forward with the other charges.
With the other charges. Then they could have enough to actually charge me with all those other charges.
Right, because like here, you are a bad
because
guy. Look what you just did. Right.
Exactly. So they knew they had no evidence at all.
Unbelievable.
But they just wanted to do it. And so that was they literally came up with this, like a colonel in the Army, and I I don't have paperwork to prove this, but I know personally, even went up higher in a colonel, he was getting his directives from the general there. But anyways, that's whatever. So yeah, they came up with this plan, and they all lied and knew they were lying to try to falsify the situation.
Yeah.
To fuck a person, basically. There's no other reason for it besides the colonel didn't like me.
Wow. Or at least that you know of.
Yeah, at least I know of. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And this is it's incredible. So where did it stop? So what happened now?
I went to a full-blown court-martial, bro. So I was they held me past my my exit date. I forget I want to say like 9 months past my exit date. So 9 months later, I finally have the court-martial.
Wait, and where are you for these 9 months now?
I'm just at Fort Bragg, bro.
So there's a year until you got charged.
Uh-huh.
And then from that point, 9 more months until the
9 more months, yeah.
Until the actual court-martial.
Yeah.
So this whole thing literally spanned from when you got back a couple of years.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you need to deal with the mental traumas and issues that you have, and none of that's really being dealt with.
Yeah.
Man, you basically left one war and came back to another.
Basically, how I straight up look at it is, I went from the Haji being my enemy to literally our enemy being my enemy. All my PTSD and paranoia and problems I was having with my PTSD directly got switched almost, where I thought the government was then spying on me. And they literally, I thought the government was trying to set me up because they literally were.
They were.
They actually fucking were. Like my first sergeant and my commander and all of them were actually doing that, you know?
Unreal, man. Unreal.
So yeah, so my that's and how I've dealt with. So I still have like PTSD symptoms from the war, but then mental wise, they got switched to our government. If that makes any sense.
Right. Okay. I got you. In terms of the source. It became a new source. Right.
Yeah, basically. You know, I went from going to one trauma from war,
right,
getting injured, and coming back
to a whole new mental trauma.
A whole new mental trauma. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
A severe psychological war.
Fuck.
Yeah.
like it's just a shit show, dude. It's a fucking dude. You know what I mean? Like a shit show, bro.
Well. Let me say that for everything that you've been through, you sound great. You sound, lucid, clear. You sound, better than one would expect anyone who had been through all that to sound at this point.
Thanks, man. Yeah, now I'm a fucking beast.
Beast mode, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't know it until it's one of those things. It's like reality, bro. It's like you don't know it's a reality until it actually is, and like that's how I found out I'm a fucking beast. It's like I just found out. And I'm like, oh shit, here I am.
Here you are, man, and still moving forward and making things happen, which is great. And let's go back to the point now where you're at the court martial's happening. The beginning of that process, how long did that take? And, who was on your side and so how did that go down?
Basically, I didn't really have anybody on my side. My platoon sergeant at the time, man, he liked me because I'm a likable guy. He liked me for the person I was, But on the other hand, he also knew everything that they were doing, and so he kind of was just like, yeah, that's shitty, but this is what's going to happen. So basically, everybody thought that I was going to be going to jail.
And they were okay with it? No, there was nobody trying to, like...
Basically, my platoon sergeant was actually supposed to be one of my witnesses. And he was supposed to help tell me... he was supposed to help me tell the actual truth and what was being said and what actually happened.
Right, because he's your guy. He's the one who saw you every day. He was around and he knew what you were and weren't doing.
But when the court-martial day actually came,
he flipped sides.
The commander went on, the colonel went on and told his whole story first. And once the colonel told his story and lied under oath, basically everybody had to at that point, because if they told the truth at that point,
forget it.
They would have directly
gone
against him, and he would have gotten charged with what is perjury, I think it's called. No, wait, what's the word?
Yeah, perjury. Yeah, or they would have all seen their careers disappear too.
Yeah, exactly. So they were literally breaking the law. And at one point, I actually wrote down somewhere, there was like at least 5 laws I found that each member, the colonel, the captain, my first sergeant, my platoon sergeant, they all broke. Like their own laws they were breaking.
And nothing has ever...
nothing's ever come of it. No.
Come of that.
No. Well, I feel like I could have done something, but after it all and how fucked up it was, my lawyer told me the best thing he thought I could do was be humble
and just let it go.
Yeah.
How do you still feel? How do you feel about that today?
I wish I would have fucked him.
That's why I asked the question. I detected a change of heart there. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not.
The whole thing scared the shit out of me, man. Honestly, back then, I was.
Well, dude, statute of limitations. You got to still be within your statute of limitations if you actually wanted to bring a case.
Yeah.
It's not all that long ago, was it? At this point, how many years ago are we talking now?
2009.
That's a decade, almost.
Yeah.
I wonder if the statute of limitations is different for military courts.
They have their own set of laws, man. It's different. And then on top of it, like to even bring everybody back for eyewitnesses and what happened. I mean, it'd be a big. Yeah, and well, since then, karma came back around on the colonel because he actually my dad found an article some years later about him where he was like embezzling money and all kinds of other shit, and he went to jail, I think.
So wait a minute. So what it sounds like is that they were probably pocketing the monies that they were trying to they're trying to block, you know, certain people from by throwing them to the wayside and saying that, you know, kicking them out for some bogus reason. Seems like they're pocketing that money that would have gone to them.
Yeah, in some ways, I guess you maybe could say that. Yeah, it could be possible. They could have, yeah, I don't know, man.
Because now that you say that, if you realize if they're a part of that game to begin with, and then you hear embezzling, so not only are they just putting in fucked up orders that they're being told to do, but you see the money game there too now with them. Well, there's got to be a correlation.
Mm-hmm.
Just an observation there, something to think about. But yeah, I mean, it would be a pretty big undertaking at this point.
Yeah. So that happened. So the colonel went on stand. He was the first one. During the court, man, I went in hopeful. My whole demeanor and everything kind of switched as it went on, because every time my lawyers tried to object or say anything or do anything, it seemed like they were quickly shut up. And basically, when it came down to it, man, at the end of it, when I went in for the reading or whatever it's called, I gave my mom, my parents were there, and my family was there. And I gave my mom my wallet and all that stuff, and I kissed her and gave everybody hugs, and because I thought that was it. I thought I was going to jail, man.
I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, your family must have been.
Yeah, the only thing that saved me, man, is one. Vina came up with this idea for me to hide a tape recorder in my top pocket in my ACUs, and so I did that. And I got my first sergeant and my platoon sergeant and my captain on tape actually saying the truth and actually saying what they were saying to my face. But then it was behind my back and in court where all of a sudden it was a different story, you know?
Oh my God. So this was, see, isn't that, it really is something like, you know, you never know what are the different reasons that people come into our lives. The fact that she was in your life at that time for this situation and came up with that idea that led
I know, man.
to...
Like, honestly, she
Incredible.
funded for the money for my lawyer, too.
Wow.
Which is even more crazy because I honestly, she wasn't there...
You would have been screwed.
I would have been fucked.
Oh my God, dude. So without wow.
Without doubt, like it's crazy. Yeah, literally.
Whew.
Yeah.
Heavy shit, man.
Yeah, man. So it keeps going.
Oh my
God. Yeah. So anyway, so after he went, so my platoon sergeant was supposed to be, testify for me, and during the break, I guess lunch break, or during a break, my captain and the witnesses are supposed to stay away from everybody. They're not supposed to hear what's happening in court. Nobody's supposed to talk to them. By law, that's the rules. But my captain took my platoon sergeant out of the witness room, and they disappeared for 2 hours. And then when they came back,
you said took a witness.
Yeah, my captain took the witness, my platoon sergeant, out of the witness room, disappeared for 2 hours. When they came back,
what is? Do you mind? What was the captain's name?
Honestly, man, with my TBI, my memories, that's how fucked my memory is, man.
But that would be that would be in the paperwork. You could find that.
Yeah, I can find that out. Yeah.
Unbelievable! Wow, dirty deeds. Continue.
Yeah, man. And so when my platoon sergeant got up on stand, his whole story switched, man. And basically at that point, I think they basically, blackmailed them. They're like, hey, look, like you either are on board or
you're out.
Career, basically, yeah, like, and that's the spot that they put him in. I mean, that's a fucked up spot for them to even put him in. Like, why should he have to lie? Because y'all doing some fucked up shit, So
they probably said, right, that if you don't, we'll come after you.
Oh, I know they did.
We'll include you in the charges.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way that he would have switched like that, man.
Wow.
So, yeah, so he did that, but like I said, man, I thought I was fucked. So that happened, and I thought I was fucked. And she went to, the judge was a she, and she went to, do the final thing, and I was like, hey, is it good if we wait for a short amount of time, long time? And he was like, my lawyer's like, I don't know, just, try to relax, blah, blah, blah. And like, literally, it was only 5 minutes, man. She only took 5 minutes. And she called the court, everybody back in there, and she said that she found me not guilty.
There was too much nothing.
Well, she, in the back room, basically, my lawyer let her hear the tape that I had.
So again, she still would have convicted you if you didn't have that. Right.
She took the best roads for both sides. So what she did is she swept everything underneath the rug as fast and as quick as possible because she knew that I had proof of them lying under oath, setting this whole plan into action, and everything. She knew I had proof of it. And so to not cause the Army an expense or a scene,
in this case,
or a situation,
right?
They quickly got me everything under wraps, and I was out of the Army a day and a half later.
Now wait a minute. Now there's something I have to ask right off the bat. Do you still have the recording?
No, I actually don't. Oh no, actually, yeah, I do. I do. Hidden.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Yes.
I found a couple of years ago, a year ago. Yeah, I have them hidden in different places, man. My paranoia was so bad at one point, man. Afterwards, I still felt I'm trained in certain things, so I know, like, I'm not stupid too. I know if somebody's fucking following me, man. I got followed for years after.
Man, I believe it.
It's a crazy shit that I can't explain happened to me after that. I used to have, like, I had these suspicious ass looking people. You know how you can push like a walkway button to get the lights to change so pedestrians can cross?
Right.
This couple, this lady and this guy were talking. She like backstepped, which was really weird. Why not just turn around and walk up to the button? But she like backstepped up to it, so I couldn't see her. And then she had the light change, so I had to stop at the light. And she literally took a step out into the road with this huge ass like professional camera and started taking pictures of me in the middle of the road. And I was with a buddy. I'm like, yo, do you see this? Like, that's fucking crazy, dude. Like I had when I was with Glacier, we were like
only of you directly at you.
Only of me, bro. Like literally, like it was crazy. That's how it was nuts, bro. Nuts. When I was with Glacier, I had a helicopter literally follow us all the way across Greensboro, and Glacier just thought it was my PTSD and whatnot, and thought I was being paranoid. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, this fucking thing is following us, bro. So we get back to his place, and literally at the back of his place, there was only one spot where you could see us through the backyard because there's a bunch of trees, and the helicopter literally sat there hovering for 10 minutes in the one spot where the only spot you could see in, and literally sat there for like 10 minutes just hovering. And I was like, and I pointed out to Glacier, I was like, yo, do you believe me now? Like, what the fuck, man? I'm being followed. Like, this is crazy. I almost got run off the road a couple times by people I saw following me.
Wow. And by the way, for the audience, when he refers to Glacier, that's our mutual best friend. That's our buddy. Yo, big shout out, El Boogie. What up, man?
So, yeah, man, so just crazy shit after the whole Army thing. And yeah, like I said, so when I went to the VA after that was like the first time I was really getting help, I guess, for my TBI. And they were just shocked. Nobody at the VA could believe my story. Nobody believed what I told them happened. And then on top of it, with how bad I was testing on the cognitive stuff, they couldn't believe that the Army didn't get me help.
Wow. So they're directly telling you that there are protocol for your situation, that absolute things that should have been done.
Yeah, like everything that should have happened did not happen in my case. Like the ball got dropped in every single fucking spot and then shat on and mixed up, and like it's just crazy. So nobody believed me, man. It's after that I had to. So I lived at the brain injury center and stuff for like a year and a half after that. Yeah, man, it's pretty nuts.
Wow. So what did they actually do for you then at that point?
With the VA, basically, so at that point, I was put on 100% disability for my TBI. And what did they call it? They called it TBI secondary to dementia or something. And then PTSD. And then I had, what do I have? They thought I was for a while they thought I was having mini strokes because of my TBI. And then they changed it they didn't think I was having mini strokes then. Then they thought I was having internal seizures.
Mini strokes, internal seizures, and so they really didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, well, they're still figuring out more and more and more about the brain, man. Because that's what I learned at the brain injury center. Every brain injury is different. So, and even though certain parts of the brain might be damaged that control certain things, they still, like, you know, each injury
has peripheral.
Yeah, so it's like the one thing, but like what on that one thing is damaged, you know, and this and that and other stuff.
And what else did it affect and in what way? No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's still a very kind of unknown universe, is the human brain.
Yeah. So it's kind of like something. I don't know, man. And then later on, and this goes on this could go into conspiracy theory kind of shit. But then years later, man, I started, after thinking that I was being followed for years and literally having, like, it felt like I had some external black cloud following my whole life. Any friends I tried to make, like, randomly, like, I would go to make new friends and stuff like that, and, like, for no reason, people would just drop out of my life. Like, I literally lost everybody I almost ever knew from the Army and everything in, like, 2 to 3 month period after that, when I thought I was being followed and all this stuff.
Right.
And literally lost, like people just ghosted me. Everybody, right at that time. Which is very, like, if you do, like, statistically or something, it doesn't make sense. Like, that's too much coincidences all at one time for something to have not caused that, you know?
Right.
So, and then years later, after thinking of, you know, being followed and all the other stuff, like, I honestly, and then I developed, they call it PTSD with psychosis. Because then I developed voices in my head, literally voices in my head that started out telling me that they are the federal fucking government. And they told me that they were going to come at me for faking my brain injury. And all this stuff, and it was this whole thing, like, I mean, that's a whole nother story in itself that I could get into about that.
Well, but go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, you go.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, that was actually one of the things that, you know, definitely inspired me to want to tell your story. I mean, I personally witnessed, you know, what Mike is talking about right now. You know, and I was down there for a trip for a hemp symposium, actually, and you know, and so we all got together, and I had heard before from our buddy, or I don't know if it was directly from you or your girlfriend. We were all kind of talking about it, you know, about the voices and things that, you know, you would have to do and stuff, and I had never experienced anything like that in my life. I've never seen anything like that, and I wasn't necessarily expecting to, but then I did, and it was really, you know, something that I can't even properly put into words. It's just
again, it just doesn't make sense, man. And if you use common sense and piece things together, like, common sense tells you that my quote unquote conspiracies and all this stuff, like, they make sense, dude. Like, if you use common sense and think about it, like, it does make sense. They tested us with this anthrax stuff and all kinds of other things when we were overseas, man. Like, once you sign that contract with our government, you're theirs. Like, literally for the rest of your life at that point. And especially if you go on disability or something else, they feel like they have a right to your life.
Right, they still own you. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So any experiments, anything else, you know, and there's always been conspiracy theories over mind control and this and that and everything else like that. You know, you got guys coming back. All of a sudden, it was never a thing in World War I, World War II, and then you got guys coming back from Vietnam all of a sudden, and guys are coming back saying all of a sudden the FBI's in their head. You know, they're putting tinfoil on their head saying that the government's in their head. That's too. Right. It's happened too many times, and it became too much of a thing to just be.
Right. No, that's interesting, and only right. You're right. It didn't appear until the technology was, available,
So
to
it's
do
like,
something like that, right?
yeah, and so it's kind of crazy, man. Like literally in my head when the voices started, they started talking to me, and they made me feel. This is what they told me when it started. They made me feel. They told me they were the federal government. They said they had a new technology out that could read people's subconscious mind and tell if people were lying or not. And that's what they said. Jeez. I said, okay, cool.
Right.
So obviously, just people talking in your head in general. I mean, that's a bit that would throw some people off their fucking wagon.
Way off.
Just for that.
Now, when you say, just so people really understand, hearing voices in your head, exactly.
It's like you and me talking. It's like you and me talking right now.
Like you could hear completely clear.
Literally. Clear,
with
concise,
volume, concise,
everything.
like
Everything.
like
just
people.
like that.
And
it's
each one
like,
with their
and,
own.
And now you can, like with the voices, they move sometimes. It's almost like if a person's walking around, like you hear them in different places. That's exactly how I hear them.
That is so bizarre, man.
Crazy.
So each one clearly a different person. Huh?
Yeah, there's like they started out like a male, female. The female told me that she was some neuroscientist or whatever she said she was. She said she worked for the VA. But anyways, and the male was like a predominant male voice, whatever kind of, I don't know how to describe him. But anyways, like kind of douchebaggy, typical, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. But anyways, okay. He was supposedly the federal officer. And said they supposedly said that that I faked my brain injury or something like that, and that they needed to get into my subconscious and see if I was telling the truth. So they used to tell me try to relax, go to sleep, other stuff, blah blah blah. They told me I was the first human that could actually hear them because they said there's this new technology that they can hear people's subconscious minds, but people aren't supposed to be able to hear them. And they told me I was the first one ever to be able to hear them. And
this is extremely detailed, man.
It is. And literally at a certain point, man, I was like, you guys fucking kidding me? Of course I can hear you. I was like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, I got up on top of my car one time to prove to them, I can hear you. You just told me to get on my car. I got on my car. I'm doing it. I thought I was. I don't know, dude. It's voices in your fucking head, So that's how it started. And then all of a sudden, it went and went and went. And then it was like they tried to pull the rug out from underneath me, and it switched. And then all of a sudden, then they were both on, both against me. Then they were both for the government. And then there was this big plot. And they used to tell me, shh, nobody's ever going to know. Stuff like that, to kind of this really haunting, nasty, I used to consider it they had a God complex, because if this technology existed to do this, and they used it for those purposes, people that were doing it would kind of have a God complex,
right, Right, completely just using human beings how they see fit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went from that, and it just continued and continued and continued, and basically I just fight or flight. I mean, that's my personality. Some people have it, some people don't. Some people have the fight in them, and some people don't, and I do. So I said, fuck them. I said, fuck you, basically, They used to scare me, tell me they were going to come arrest me, and I used to talk to my dad and my parents about this and other people about this, and they're like, well, fuck them. If they said they're going to arrest you, how many times have they said that? I'm like, well, a couple. And they're like, have they done it? I'm like, no.
Right.
And so eventually it's like you're just calling them on their shit, but it's continued and continued and continued and continued into this point where it's like they almost tried to separate me from myself, and then they told me they're going to implant themselves, and it's just strange how it happens, because honestly the shit that they do, how they word it, and the games that you can tell, it's almost like if there's two bullies fucking with you.
Right.
Let's say those two bullies have psychological degrees. Well, they're going to fuck with you in certain ways. And when they do fuck with you, it's probably going to be targeted attacks, And that's how it feels in my head, every day. You know what I mean? Like this targeted attacks. And that's how I was able to separate me from them and see what's going on. I don't know, man. It's just fucking crazy, bro.
So does that persist?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still live with it. It's 24/7, bro. It's 24/7, but it's just one of those things that got to the point where it was either me or it. You know, it's me or them. And that's basically, that was my mentality at war, too. You know, it's sad to say. I know you guys you probably are fucking doing this trying to feed your family, but sorry, dude, it's you or me, you know, and I'm going home to see my fucking family.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So basically, that's how I've been with all of it. And that's how I fought. That's how I stayed strong in my head the whole time, going fighting the army and, you know, fighting terrorists and then fighting the army and then fighting our government. And that's how I've been. I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yo, it's you or me. Well, fuck you, motherfucker. Like, I'm not, you know. Yeah.
Wow. So there hasn't been anything in particular that has worked aside from.
Oh, no, man, I went through the whole spectrum, bro. I actually hooked myself to inpatient, to the VA to get inpatiented for this psychosis, supposedly, you know, quote unquote psychosis or whatever. And I talked to him. I literally been on basically every medicine for schizophrenia, for, you know, for voices and stuff like that. And none of the medicines have even like scratched the voices at all, you know.
They probably messed you up though at the time. I know that a lot of those things are some pretty serious chemical concoctions, man.
But yeah, and they did like sleep studies on me. They did MRIs. They did EKGs or whatever they are, brain waves. They found that there was some kind of abnormal brain waves happening in my head, which would make sense for my theory on the whole thing. I mean, because with my education in sound, I believe brain waves kind of exist in the same plane or same realm of thinking.
Yeah, they're frequencies. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a frequency, exactly.
That can be tapped into, 100%.
Exactly. And manipulated at that point and read or listened to or anything.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. So wait. Now let's focus on that. So did they give any kind of explanation? What type of waves? What did they call them? Where they exactly were located?
I forget what they said. They said it was abnormal. I think it was beta waves. They said, and it was a lower frequency beta wave. And the best thing the doctor could say about it was that it was seizure-like. He said it was seizure-like activity.
Seizure-like, and that's all you got.
Yeah.
Activity.
Yep.
Beta
and that's
waves.
it.
And do you know where they're emanating from or to?
Front temporal lobe.
Front temporal. Okay. Beta waves. Front temporal lobe. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna do a little research on this. I mean, honestly, I did a lot of research into it myself, because I've experienced it. Like I've done things when I've been going through this quote unquote psychosis where literally parts of my body are being manipulated, that I don't have control over. You know, I could sit there and literally feel like my insides are shaking, and it's almost like the best thing I can relate it to in my head would be like shock therapy almost. You know, it's like turning a knob up on somebody and just feeding him with energy. Well, eventually that's going to work the person up, you know? Right. And you're trying to work a person up to break him down, you know? Kind of thing. And that's how torture works, you know? And to a point where, like, I thought maybe it was just me experiencing it, but then my wife that would be sitting beside me on the couch, like cuddling me or something, literally said she could feel me vibrating. And so it was things like throughout this whole process where people have seen or felt things that are physically happening to me because of this, that have made this, you know, made my belief on it even stronger that, you know, it actually is happening to me, you know? Yeah, which all definitely makes me want to dive deeper into trying to unravel that. So at this point, was there any further action or any continued assistance or anything from the VA, or was it?
There was a little fight from the VA for a little bit, especially when they didn't believe my whole story and all this other stuff. And then my paranoia on top made it hard for people to believe me because I literally didn't trust anybody, like not a fucking person, because everything I went through, I couldn't trust anybody. That's how I was after that. I didn't fucking trust anybody, and so, when somebody's like that, it makes it then hard for you to trust them, which kind of made the situation harder to read, I guess, for them. I don't know. So, but yeah, no, they always helped me. And like I said, I had my 100% disability, and we were still fighting for my med board because I should have been med boarded from the military after my injury. That's what should have happened. So we had to fight for that for like 5 years. I think it was about 5 years. My parents helped me fight for my med board.
5 years.
Yeah, and then I finally got my med board, and then now I'm retired from the Army.
So, all right. So you're out. So does the VA? Are they still supposed to technically be taking care of you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I get retirement now.
Okay.
My main thing I wanted, because I know I have the issues I have now, but like I'm worried about myself when I get older. Like, what the fuck? How am I going to be when I'm older? Like, I already have memory issues and need help, with money and budget or scheduling and all that stuff. So like, how is my health going to be when I'm 65 or something? So I really was fighting for the TRICARE part of it.
So as it stands right now, they're not doing anything for you.
No, I mean right now. So everything's final now. Like my whole story's over and done with. Like I got honorably discharged. I got retired from the Army, and I get my disability the rest of my life now.
But no other services.
No, I mean that's all.
But
and VA care, yeah, and VA care.
Okay, that's what I mean. So you still got VA care. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, but are they doing anything for you, or still not really?
Yeah, I mean I still go get medicines and stuff like that. I don't really do that much like therapy about shit anymore. I mean it's been more than a decade.
Right.
It just kind of is what it is. And honestly, from the psychosis, I found more strength than I ever mentally have had before in my life. Like what I've overcome, what I've gone through with the psychosis is not the best word I can put on it. It's just mental torture. It literally is like physical, almost physical and mental torture together. And it's been harder than anything I've gone through in my life, and that's including war. Wow.
And right directly off of that point, is there anything that you found that has helped, whether chemical or organic, natural wise?
Weed.
There it is. Yeah. There it is.
I mean, honestly, man, like everybody has their own shit, and to each its own. For me, weed's not a drug, man. It should have never been a drug. The only reason it's fucking illegal here in the first place is some political bullshit back in like the 20s or 30s. Like, it's just bullshit anyways, Weed helps me, bro. Like, when I didn't want to be here anymore, this is back when I was really I was living with my parents before the brain injury center, and I was having suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, man. And literally, I was just down every day. It sucked, man. And that's right around the time my buddy Chad killed himself from my platoon. Oh, he was struggling as well, and he killed himself, and it was just. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not easy, man. I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that.
No, I mean This is what it is again, man. Yeah, I wish there was finalized answers to any of the shit I've been through. I know there's not. I know it probably never will be. Who knows? Maybe 50 years down the road, our government might release some paperwork about,
anything they might have been doing.
Their testing and stuff like that. But
Right.
if any of honestly, the country, any of the country knew what they were doing and what they've done and all that stuff, and as far as people's human rights and privacy and anything like that, nobody would. There's no words to put on it. It's like unspeakable doing what I've had done to me. To go through all that and then to like feel like I've been followed for those, that many numbers of years, and then like to feel like you're being followed is one thing, but then to like actually have it to where it happened enough times where I was able to start proving it to my loved ones around me.
Right.
Like, hey, look, I'm not fucking crazy. Like, look at this. Like, see what I'm seeing right fucking now.
Right. Wow. Well, I definitely think that your story and, all the messages of today are really going to resonate strongly with our listeners, and, you never know who it might inspire to come forward with their story, and so on. So this is really great, man, and the fact that you were ready, willing, and able to talk about everything and to go deep and go into some difficult memories and stuff. And it's really a testament to your strength as a person. And it's inspiring to me, and I'm sure to everyone listening. And, man, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, dude. I found, man, throughout it all, everybody has their own journey. And each individual, I think every being searching for the meaning of life. What are you here for? What are we all here for? What's this? What's that? Like, what is it all, And to me, throughout it all, I've been to depths that I can't. It's like, how do you find, when do you find out you're strong? You're not going to know you're tough or you're strong until you get fucking broke. It's not, you have to get broke to find out to be strong.
Right.
You have to. So, getting broke down, like I said, everybody has their own perspectives on it, but mine's been energy. Mine's been this feeling of oneness and this feeling of community and joy and just happiness that I've felt before in my life. That's been mine. And I found it again through music. Music saved me after Chad killed himself and I was going through all that stuff. Like, music saved me, and that's what spoke to me and pulled me out of it. Yeah. And besides all the just nasty, negative shit that's happening in the world, the one thing I found, take from it at the end of the day, is that, what we have right here is fucking beautiful. We're beautiful. The world's beautiful.
Yes, tell them, brother, tell them.
And my purpose from that day on out, it's just to leave every little thing just a little bit better than it was than the moment I was there with it.
Speak your truth. Beautiful. What a destination. What a place to arrive at after all of that. I mean, man, I think a lot of people really are going to be inspired. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired, And and I think, also let's just to bring it right back to one of the things that you mentioned as a self-medicating method, was cannabis. And I think it's important that a lot of listeners,
it made me feel like living when I didn't feel like living for myself, bro. And that's just being real. And that's the most honest I can fucking be about it. But when I lost my spark, when I smoked a little bowl, man, honestly, it brought it back. You know what I mean?
Right. So it eased the anxiety, it calmed the fears, it
made me feel like me again.
It made you feel like you again. Brought you back to balance and harmony.
You know?
Well, that's really serious, because I know that, there's going to be a lot of people that may feel a certain way towards cannabis, before coming into this podcast. But I know that for a lot of people suffering from PTSD, from, numerous issues, cannabis, and other addictions, cannabis is actually playing a huge role in helping people to heal from those.
It is, and it can be, man, and you don't have to use it to get high. You can use it more like a medicine. You don't have to get completely fucking stoned every time and be like this stereotypical pothead that everybody thinks about. It's not like that. Like when I smoke, man, I take a couple puffs, just a couple, and it's just to send as spiritual energy beings. It calms my edges so that I can vibrate my frequencies correctly.
Exactly. That's perfect. And that's the same experience that I have. It really does a great job of kind of quieting all the noise. That's the best way I could put it. It quiets all the noise and really allows you to truly be immersed in a moment with all of your focus, and that of course enhances the experience and helps to for you to bring out your ultimate creativity and your that light, for that light to shine just a little bit.
For me right now, all of us, each and every one of us is a part of this earth, and we're one with it. Whether we understand it, accept it, we are. And weed is a natural occurring plant in this ecosystem we call Earth. So it connects us to our reality that is now, like you were saying, and that is Earth. That's how I feel it. It kind of grounds you in a way.
Absolutely. And so, I hope that our listeners also just take a little bit of that with them as well. Anyone who may have had certain ideas about it, it's way more than the story that you were told, in school or by your parents or grandparents. So, well, Mike,
have the strength to be fair to yourself and free with yourself, to just take an eraser and just erase it all. Everything you've learned, everything that society's taught you, everything you are now, just erase it all. Be strong enough. Like, find your fight to do that. And then make your own fucking truth.
Man, if I was a bunch of people, I'd be doing an ovation. But man, I couldn't have said it better. Mike, I really want to thank you very much for taking the time and the energy, to come on the show and to share your story. I am and will continue to be inspired by you, and I'm very excited to release this podcast. I'm just really excited to see what comes of it and who it might reach.
Well, I hope it does, man. And if anything, like I say, that's what I always told myself with my music, Fuck being famous, fuck even being successful, Do things because you love it. Mine's music. Music saved me. And that's the tool that I'm choosing in my life to give back. And I always say, if it can just reach one person, if it can make one person feel better, if it can save one person, that's all I need.
That's absolutely right.
I did something, and it did something.
Absolutely
and
right.
To everyone listening, whether you were in the military or not in the military, find your fight, Find your fucking fight.
And I think they will. I definitely think that after listening tonight, or today, or whatever time it might be, wherever you are in the world, maybe you're standing up right now and you're saying, I'm going to find my fight, and I'm going to fight that fight. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for spending this time. We're just about to hit 2 hours and almost 15 minutes. Incredible journey, an incredible show, and an incredible person, Mike Barbot. I didn't mean to rhyme. It just happened that way. It was kind of nice. Mike, thank you very much, man. And I'm, as always, humble and honored to be your friend. And I'd love to have you back on the show anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Eddie. I think you're one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met in my life, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep things positive. Keep the peace. Guys, just dropping it now. You can't look it up online, but The Light Workers is something, if you're interested in the story behind it, look it up, Google it. It's 166,000 souls throughout our earth, in our time, in our reality, coming together without even knowing that they're coming together and vibrating their own frequencies in the same frequency that's going to be able to give us the future that we all want. And it's a movement. It's going to be a sound. And it's me, and it's going to be coming out, new album within the next year, and new artists as well. So everybody, keep your eyes, keep your ears open, but it's going to start. Eddie, thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Mike, thank you so much, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard an incredible story. I'd like to really thank Mike Barbot before anything else. Mike, thank you so much for having the courage and braveness to tell this story. I know it had to be very difficult, but at the same time, I know it's something that, he really wanted to put out there. When you have a truth like that, it would make you crazy to be the only person who knows it. To not have an outlet for that story so that people can learn from it. So that they can learn a little more about the truth behind our institutions. How they operate. What motivates and drives them, what their true purposes are, and how they actually see and treat the individuals, the people, the friends and family of ours that they employ or that they use, you know, how they see them and how they treat them, how ultimately worthless they truly are to these institutions, and what a lot of soldiers are dealing with and have to deal with when they come back from these unjust occupations and wars. It is my belief and hope that this episode, this podcast, Mike's story, will move others who have a story to tell about their experience with the military, or anyone listening who knows someone with a story, to come forward. Because the fact of the matter is that if the American public continues to only be fed what the media and the war machines want them to see and want them to know and believe and feel, it's pretty sad that the American public is just so gullible, able to be so mentally and emotionally manipulated so easily. But the point is that if you never see or hear the real story, the inside story, real people talking about real injustices going on within these institutions, well, then yeah, sure, how hard is it to continue blindly being patriotic for these institutions? But that cannot go on forever, because the fact of the matter is the truth will always surface. It's just a matter of when and where. I just hope that enough people are listening and care, because you should. If you don't see how the military spending and how these wars of occupation and resource grabbing and political power positioning and land grabs, if you don't see how these things directly affect you by affecting the entire world around you, well, then you've got a long way to go. And I wish you the best, and I hope that you get up to speed quickly. But that's okay, because I know that there is a good, strong population of the hippie generation who know what time it is, of 80s babies who know what time it is, of millennials who know what time it is. So whichever one of those groups you fall into, if you're not already actively doing something that pushes the overall state of the human condition forward, whether that's coming out with your truth or doing something to help others, now's your opportunity. Now's your chance. If you'd like to get involved with fate.org, please contact us through the website. At the very least, please spread our messages. Please like and share our podcasts and other content. There's plenty of information on the website, www.fate.org. That's www.phaet.org. Fate.org is a wealth of knowledge, of information that you're just not going to get from any educational institution that you may be attending right now or have attended in the past. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to work with you. And we're grateful that you're listening, and that you know what you know, and that you're interested in knowing what you don't know. Because at the end of the day, it's really the thinkers, the creatives, the ponderers, the questioners that are able to sift through all the bullshit and get to the truth of the matter, and who aren't afraid to speak that truth and put it out there, regardless of what kind of backlash or fallout there may be. And those, my friends, you who are listening, who know that you are one of them, you are the heroes. and I thank you. Please do check out the information in the description of this podcast. Some supplemental notes there for you. And there's plenty of great content coming your way in the very near future. So stay tuned for the next episode of It Was Fate. As always, I am your host, the Wordsmith. Peace and love to you until the next time. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm out.
Like I said, everybody has their own perspectives on it, but mine's been energy. Mine's been this feeling of oneness and this feeling of community and joy and just happiness that I've felt before in my life. That's been mine, and I found it again through music.